Hi, it's hard to make predictions, especially about the future, and it's even harder to make predictions about things that have got a moving target. Yet, as somebody who's meant to know a little bit about the property market, I'm regularly asked, how's all this going to play out? What's going to happen to our property markets? Are house prices going to crash? Like some of those doomsayers are saying. Of course, I realise that there are some commentators out there making some predictions, but my answer when people ask me is, I really don't know. Now, I realise that's not a satisfactory answer. By the way, no one else really knows the answer either. Yet at times like this, most of us are looking for somebody to tell them what's going to happen next, aren't we? Now, of course, I wish I knew the answers. I really do. All I can say is, I don't know. I don't know how the virus is going to play out. I don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown or what the economic fallout is. But there are a few things I do know. Phew, I hear you say, at least you know something. Look, I know many commentators compare this to the global financial crisis or the depression of the early 1990s, which, by the way, I happened to get through. But I think it's very different this time. We're in uncharted waters. This is really a health crisis, and our government has severely restricted our mobility and put our economy, our businesses and the property market into hibernation to prevent the terrible human disaster that's happened overseas. I also know the governments of the world have never, ever made such a concerted effort to minimise the downside risk to the economies. And I know the Australian government's thrown trillions of dollars, everything including the kitchen sink actually, to minimise the economic impact to businesses, for people, and to protect our health. And I know our property markets have gone into hibernation, but interestingly, this is going to prevent a free fall of property values, as I can't see that there's going to be many for sales, particularly since the banks are providing a pillar of support for homeowners and property investors. They're giving them loan holidays, they're giving them loan deferrals up to 6 months. So these measures should delay the distressed sales that would have otherwise flooded the market and, could have led to significant falls in property values. Of course, property transactions, the number of properties that are bought and sold, are going to fall significantly. They're going to be impacted significantly with the restriction of people's abilities to leave their homes for inspections. But this doesn't necessarily mean property values are going to plummet. So while property values may fall a little in the next few months, that won't really reflect the intrinsic value. It'll be more a reflection of the market lockdown conditions. And sooner rather than later, we're going to come to a point where property transactions and prices are going to once again reflect the fundamentals of the Australian economy, as opposed to the current structural change taking place. On the flip side of the coin, though, suppressed transaction activity means that we can expect to see a build-up of demand, and our property markets are going to rebound in the second half of this year. Now here's something else I know. I know this is temporary. I know, like every other crisis that has been before it, this is going to pass. I know that our property markets, without warning and without anyone ringing a bell, are going to resume their uptrend. And most people aren't going to recognise that until the markets are well and truly on the move. And that's just like what happened about a year ago in the middle of last year. And I also know, based on history, we're entering a zone of opportunity. Now, maybe I was wrong because I started off by telling you that I don't know what's ahead. But having now said all this, and I'm going to share a few more concepts with you, I suddenly realised maybe I know more than I thought I did. I know that currently many people are feeling anxious. They're feeling scared. They're feeling uncertain. By the way, that's okay. It's normal. It would be very wrong, though, to act on those emotions. We've all heard Warren Buffett say, be fearful when others are greedy and very greedy when others are fearful. But that's not easy to say. It's not easy to do. However, I've seen many otherwise intelligent, rational people make terrible investment mistakes when market sentiment got to them, and they tried to fix short-term problems which ended up being long-term disasters. I saw that last year when people were selling up properties thinking that the Labor government was going to come in and the tax system was going to change and the value of their properties would go. It was the end of the property market. Some people just aren't made for property investment. Some people just are looking for excuses to get out of the market. But don't make 30-year investment decisions on the last 30 minutes or even on the last 30 days of news. Don't let your emotions take over. Look at all those investors who did sell a year or two ago and now only to see the property markets reach new peaks. Oh, by the way, here's a few more things I know. I'm recording this in April 2020. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. It's a tough place to be. People just aren't sure of what's going to happen. They're looking for a level of certainty. But I'm going to give you some certainties. I can say with certainty in 12 months' time, it's going to be April 2021. I know for some people that's a long way off. They can't even think about that. Another thing I can tell you with certainty is at some point between now and then, and I don't know whether it's going to be 6 weeks, 6 months, 3 months, at some point we're going to pass a line that I'm calling the survival line. This survival line will occur when people's levels of desire to move forward, their need to, their greed is going to overtake their fear. Another certainty is on the other side of that survival line, there's going to be many opportunities to thrive, not just in property but in businesses in general. Having spoken with many property investors, business owners and entrepreneurs recently, I'm finding they're falling into 3 categories. Some are just fear-focused. They're panicking, they're frozen, they think the world's coming to an end. They can't take a long-term focus. They're closing down their businesses, and I haven't seen any yet come to us asking to sell up their properties, but I know there are people out there panicking. They can't see a future for themselves. They see this as the end of the world, and that's a real tragedy, because these people aren't going to make it to survival line, which actually may come sooner than they think. Then there are another group of people who are just falling into hibernation. They're bunkering down, they're buying the rice and pasta and toilet paper, and they're staying low. They're going to try and ride it out. And they're going to cross the survival line, but they're also going to experience lots of ups and downs between now and then, and they're going to get to the survival line and have missed out the opportunity that the next and the last group, and to be blunt, the smallest group are doing. There's a small group of strategic investors who are positioning themselves for the future. They recognise that currently there's a strategic window, a time between now and that survival line to get set to take advantage of the opportunities that always abound after a severe downturn. As property investors, they're working with their consultants, they're setting up their strategic plans, they're getting their financial and ownership structures in place, they're doing the appropriate research. We're seeing that at Metropole. We've never been as busy as we are now, helping people formulate personalised strategic plans for themselves to allow them to be ready when the market turns. But they're not going to try and time the market. They want to take advantage of the opportunities the market's currently offering and is going to be offering in the future. These strategic investors know that we're eventually going to come out of lockdown and they're going to want to get on with their lives. And they know it looks bad today. It may even look bad tomorrow, but they're prepared to hang in there. They're prepared to lay the foundations of their future success. Despite the headlines, they know the world's not going to come to an end. They're prepared to bet on humanity. They recognise that how they think now and what they do now, between now and the survival line, is going to determine the level of success they have when we move into the new normal, whatever that's going to be. So how are you thinking? What conversations are you having with yourself and with others? Which of those 3 groups are you falling into? And if you're falling into the group that's wanting to take advantage, not of people, but of the circumstances that are going to surely come, I'm not going to tell you when they are. I don't know that. But if you'd like to get my team at Metropole on your side, why not contact us at metropole.com.au and have your own strategic property plan built for you. That's what we specialise in. Now, clearly not everyone's going to be able to take advantage of the opportunities at the moment. I don't know what your job situation is. I don't know how much security you've got, how much cash flow buffer you've got. So it's not for everybody, but why don't you find out what's possible, what's realistic? Because at Metropole, we don't sell any properties. So come along, have a chat with one of our property strategists, and we're going to do it digitally, and let's see if we can help you get set so that when we cross that bridge, as the government says, as we get with the survival line, you'll be ready to take advantage of the opportunities.